So today I came to speak about craniosacral therapy and the mechanism of its treatment for general population and for people with Chiari. So I thought just to keep it simple, those of you who are watching, I've spoken before. My name is Dr. Krista Augius. I am a doctor of physiotherapy, and I specialize in alignment, stability of the body. And one of my loves is craniosacral therapy because it works with the fascia, so your tissues, in relationship to the alignment of your body and the nervous system. So when we speak in terms of Chiari, we know that there is pressure on your nervous system, and that things that are very important are your posture and your stability and your strength. And that maintaining a good position is a very effective way to have good pain management, because the less pressure you put on your nervous system, the less it will be irritated and fire and cause muscle tension and tightness. And things that we can reduce of this tension is an example of craniosacral therapy. So what is it? So if we have tissues, so basically like your arm is made up of tissue, bone, and nerve, and blood. And as your nerve courses through your body, it has to go through muscles and pass through connective tissue because it innervates or gives, its nerves allow us to have communication throughout our body, right? So it has to go basically everywhere. If you took away our skin, our tissue, the water, the blood, then our nervous system basically looks like a big tree root. If you lifted a tree out of the ground and you could see all the roots, we're basically like a root system of nerves. So those nerves are everywhere. So what we do as a treatment for the tightness of the nerves is to release fascia off of the nerves. So in Chiari, if our posture is, if your head is too far forward, that can make your nerves travel longer from your central nervous system, so your brain and your spinal cord, out to the periphery, so your hands, your trunk, your legs. And I have a little visual here for you today. So these are, let's say that this is your tissue, and your tissue expands and contracts. Okay. Now let's say that you have tight tissue. So it's like, you know, all tight together, and we might feel like how this might feel like with like a tight shoulder that's up, or your neck is tight. And what happens to the nerves in between? Well, they also get tight in that fascia. So then when you go to move, and let's say that these two are the tight parts, you go to move, then you're stretching, and then, oh, this gets stuck. And then that nerve also can't move, and it fires, and you feel the tightness and feel pain. So in craniosacral therapy, it's a myofascial, myo meaning like part of your muscle and your fascia. It's a way to open the tightness apart so that you can get to your optimal nerve length slowly, and releasing it without having too much stretch. Okay, so then when we're out at this length, then we have a natural mobility of the fascia to be opened and then come in naturally as we contract our muscle and then as we lengthen and stretch. And this also helps our posture, because if we're tight in a certain position, then we have to lengthen that area in order to be strong with exercise. Now, nerves, when they're in a tight end position, they can fire more frequently because there is a pressure. When nerves are released of pressure, then they basically glide between tissues and they're happier. And that means that there's less pressure on us, on our system. So another another aspect of this is that we not only have to have the fascia open for the nerves to be happy, okay, but we are made in different planes of existence, kind of like a star. So how does our fascia, or let's think of our skin. Our skin is also fascia and connective tissue. Our skin moves up and down in the body. So if you just take your forehead and you can go up or you can go down, so it goes up and down. The fascia goes side to side throughout the body, right? Or if you have a movement like from your arms or your trunk, you go side to side, like in a bigger global movement. And then we also go laterally, so up and down, and we call this side bend, like you bend to the side, right? And then there's also spiral motions or diagonal planes of motion, okay? So like when I reach up and back or down and forward, our fascia has to be able to move in those planes. So in the craniosacral system, you typically do like a scan of the body, and we work with the cranium and the sacrum, which is the base of your spine, and start by moving gently the cranium and the sacrum. So you can move them independently, like just hold the cranium in the hands and see how much movement there is in up and down movement, side to side movement, diagonal movement, or side bend movement, okay? So in each of those planes, the fascia has to move in order for you to be fluid with and in the flow of the movement with your own body motions. So basically the practitioner in treatment of craniosacral therapy or myofascial release, there is a way to basically feel the restriction of your fascia in relationship to the way that your bones are positioned. So basically your how your muscles and your tissue anchor into your bones. And so there is a big teasing out of a web of tightness in the body. And as you release tightness, then the nerve also releases between the tightness of the fascia. And some of the effects of that are you can have distal releases of tension. Okay, what do I mean by that? Is that when, let's say I'm holding somebody's head and I can feel the natural availability of motion. And then I come to a point of motion of the fascia that doesn't move. And so I actually facilitate the motion of ease. So it's like unlodging a doorknob that's stuck. Like if you can't turn a doorknob one way, then you actually try to open it the opposite way so then it can turn in the right direction. Same with the body. And as your fascia releases and your nerve lets go, you could have a release in your low back. You could have a release in your knee. You could have a release in one of your shoulders or your fingers, because our skin and our fascial system is a global unit. We're not just an ear. We're not just a shoulder. We are a shoulder that's attached to through your collarbone to the ribs, and that's attached to your spine and your pelvis. So everything is connected. So as we work on one part, other parts can release. And so your body starts to come into more balance as these tension points let go. Okay, so now let's go back to our first aim, which is with pressure on our nervous system, that we have to have a good goal of optimal postural position and alignment so that our nervous system has a more relaxed state of being. So we're always trying to go towards balance. And this might be a check-in for your body that you do as your body, as you might fall into a postural slump, that craniosacral therapy can help by doing that nice gradual elongation of the tissue and releasing of the nervous system, so that you can then go and follow up with stability exercises that will keep you in postural alignment without the force of habit of us falling out of position. Okay, so there's like it's kind of like a tune-up of most people relate to when their car is out of alignment. You know, you have a daily ride in your car, and there are certain turns that you take, and sometimes you're always making right turns, so then your alignment is shifted to the right. So that's also happens with us in our human bodies, that we have a habit of doing certain things the same and not being in balance all the time. So then we come into these points where, like, we check in, like we're gonna change the oil in our tire or in our cars, and at that time we're gonna rotate our tires so that our car is back in balance. So the body is similar, as that we do need upkeep and maintenance of our position, our alignment, and then the release of our tissues on our nervous system to limit the pressure for limiting pain responses. So then we go back to releasing tissue so that we can be more upright, so that the nerves that go through the tissue can be happy when we open, and they can glide between the tissues and not get stuck. Okay. And then when that happens, then we have easier use of our muscles, because nerves communicate to our muscles and our organs better when not under pressure, right? There's a clear pathway of communication, like an open freeway. And then we can follow up with our stability exercises, strengthening exercises. And we want to address fascial limitations on the nervous system in all planes of motion, so that we can bend forward, we can bend backward, we can bend side to side and rotate with the most available fluidity of motion that there possibly can be. So that is a quick summary of what craniosacral therapy and myofascial release in relationship to posture and the nerves in the body can do to help Chiari to lessen the pressure on the nervous system to feel less tension. I wish that this had gone so that there would be some people here for Q&A, but I am available for questions. You can get in touch with the Chiari website and reach out to me, or I will see you on the next webinar. Now that I know it's an actual webinar for these check-ins on what is available to people with Chiari to help with symptom management. Okay, it was nice to spend some time with you, and I will see you all in the future. Thank you.